I'm Tony here from Tony'sPicks.com. Time for that NBA rundown with a 7-game card. We'll bring in Joseph Schultz here from Tony'sPicks.com. He's the top unit producer for 2024 at Tony'sPicks.com. Also was the top unit producer last year. Nearly 3,000 units of profit last year. Already the first 2+ months in 2024, over 2,900 units of profit. So let's bring in Joseph Schultz right now. Ready to roll here with Joseph on this NBA card. Joseph, what's happening?
What's up, Tony? I'm looking forward to getting into this card. I'm trying to help people because I find it a little tricky. So, just try to help the people out there through this, navigate through this one.
Yeah, but as you notice here, once football's over, the really marquee matchups that kind of wait till after football season are really showcasing. We got a loaded card here with a lot of good matchups. So that's a good thing about football being over is that we got some really good matchups here in the NBA and some games that are worthy of national television. Well, they just don't get it. It's just a loaded card. You know what I mean? But this one is not worthy of any television. But we're going to cover it anyway because there's money to be made here. Nets and the Pistons going head to head here as we'll start our rundown here with Joseph Schultz. The Nets here road favorites 2, totals of 215.5.
All right, so Detroit, and I'm not breaking any news here, I don't think, but Detroit has good young players. I was really surprised at how poorly they started the season. They started to kind of turn it around for a little bit, especially when they were getting double-digit points. But to me, they're going to be a play-in caliber team sooner rather than later. They play hard. They've been playing hard recently too, going 5-5 against the spread in their last 10. But they are just 1-9 straight up in those games. The Nets are 1-3, both straight up and against the spread in the last 4, and coming off a big win versus 76ers. They've also owned the Pistons, winning 9 out of their last 10 meetings. For me, this is a complete stay-away game, if I'm being honest. But there's something about my gut is telling me that the Nets' dominance against the Pistons continue here. And also, what I think it might be, why my gut is telling me that, is because Detroit is such a small favorite that they would basically have to win the game to cover, and I don't think they want to win very many games, so it's the Nets for me.
All right, Joseph, let's get his premium plays over at Tony'sPicks.com. Nets and the Pistons likes the Nets here at -2. All right, we'll continue here on our NBA rundown. If you're looking for Joseph's best bets, just click the link in the description and you'll find his profile page, and the promo code TonyT at checkout will save you 20% off. Top unit producer over at Tony'sPicks.com for 2024 and 2023. Let's continue on here on our NBA rundown, and here we go with some of the big matchups here for Thursday. Timberwolves and the Pacers, a close line here. Pacers home favorites 1.5, total 228.
Minnesota's coming off a 7-game homestand, and I was not impressed during that homestand. They went 4-3, but just 1-6 against the spread. They played a bunch of bad teams. They didn't even cover against the Spurs. They didn't cover against the Grizzlies. Or the Blazers, and they lost outright to the Kings without De'Aaron Fox. Pacers haven't been playing too well either lately. Halliburton struggled a little bit. He's gotten back on track somewhat in the last game. But they were just 2-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 5. They are coming off a big win against Dallas in their last game. They'll be without Benedict Mathurin and at home for the first time in the last 4 games. Typically a fade spot for me. Now, Minnesota will be without Karl Anthony Towns in this game, which is huge for them. This is a revenge spot for Indy, having lost 5 straight to the Timberwolves. This is another hard game for me to call, again, if I'm being honest. But if I had to bet it, I'm going with the Pacers at home in a revenge spot with the Timberwolves missing Karl Anthony Towns.
All right, Joseph, so let's get his premium plays over at Tony'sPicks.com. Timberwolves and the Pacers for Thursday. Likes the Pacers here at -1.5. All right, guys, check Joseph's best bets right now. Click that link in that description and go ahead and get signed up. Let's continue here on our NBA rundown. Next game here on the board. This is on TNT. Heat and the Mavericks. Mavericks favored at home here, 4.5. We see the total 231.
So this one seems a little too easy for me. I kind of always question lines like this. Dallas is just 1-5 straight up and 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 games. Luka seems a little banged up when I watch their games. I don't know if he's on the injury report about anything, but you can tell he's a little hobbled. And he's even more of a defensive liability. Seems like he can't stay in front of anyone at all now with that ankle. The Heat are rounding into playoff form, going 8-2 straight up and against the spread in their last 10. Miami's 5-1 in their last 6 games on the road. Something, like I said, seems a little fishy about this line, but I'm not going to overthink it. Give me the team that's playing the better basketball with the better coach catching points.
There you go. Joe Schultz gets his premium plays over at TonySpace.com. Heat and the Mavericks. He likes the Heat at plus 4.5. Here, Luka Doncic, probable with that ankle. Probably toward playing. We'll see how it rolls. We'll know as we get closer to that 7:30 p.m. Eastern time tip-off. And also always good to get the shoot-around report as well. That's always a big help to figure out these players whether or not. I wish somebody was running a stat whether or not how many times they play when they hit the shoot-around. I think it would be pretty much at a high percentage. But anyway, the Heat here at plus.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I tell all my clients, too, that a good thing to do also is to go on Twitter and make sure you're following each team's beat writer. You could find a lot of good stuff there.
Yep, absolutely. No doubt about that. Heat here, plus 4.5. All right, let's continue here on our NBA rundown here for action on Thursday night. Let's get to the next game here, and it will feature the Raptors and Suns. You expect here the Suns big favorites here, 10.5, total 231.5.
The Suns lost to the Raptors earlier this season, 112-105 as 3.5-point favorites. So this does set up to be a revenge spot for the Suns. I just gave out to some of my clients a Toronto team total under 109.5 for their last game against the Pelicans, and they scored just 98 points. We know that Phoenix has started to put the clamps down on defense recently. They held Houston to 109 and 105 in back-to-back games. They held the Thunder to 118, and most impressively, they held the Nuggets to just 107 in a game that went to overtime. I don't see Toronto even getting to like 105 points in this one. Phoenix hasn't been scoring a ton either, and they have gone under in 5 straight games. So instead of laying double digits with the Suns, which would be the alternative, I think the under 231.5 is the best play in this game.
All right, Joseph, just get his premium plays over at TonySpace.com. Look for those best bets. The Raptors and the Suns. He likes under total of 231.5. Right, to get to Joseph's page, guys, just click the link you see in the description. That'll take you right directly to his profile page where it has all his picks, premium plays available for sale. Let's continue on here on our NBA rundown here for action on Thursday. Next up, it's the Spurs and the Kings. We've got the Kings favored here, 10.5. The total coming in at 238.5.
The Kings are coming in off a big win versus the Lakers, and now just a half a game behind the Suns for the 6th seed in the West. Now, the 6th seed, you guys probably know, but it's very important because that gets you out of the play-in. Now, Sacramento will be on back-to-back in third game in 4 nights, but it doesn't really matter. The Spurs will be without Wembanyama. The Spurs had won 2 of 3 and had covered in 3 out of their last 4. But this one's pretty simple for me without the big guy. It's going to be really easy for the Kings to get into the paint, a team that loves to get points at the rim. Sabonis and Fox should have a field day and get whatever they want. The Kings will be highly motivated. This would have been a complete smash spot, let me tell you. If the Kings would have lost, that's what I was kind of hoping, that the Kings would have lost to the Lakers, because I would have been all over them in this game. But they did it. but they'll still be motivated because, like I said, with the standings, they can't stand to give up games, especially against a Spurs team that's not going to have their biggest piece. Um, like I said, with Sabonis and Fox, they should be getting whatever they want. Just gonna throw this in there. Maybe you guys want to sprinkle a little bit, depending on the odds, on a Sabonis triple double prop, or some of the overs on points plus rebounds or points or rebounds. But there's no other way I could bet this game but to lay the points with the Kings.
There you go. Joseph Schultz, get his premium plays over at TonySpace.com. Spurs and the Kings. Likes the Kings at minus 10.5. And you got those props there about Sabonis there for Sacramento. All right, let's continue here on our NBA rundown here for the games on Thursday. Next up is the big one. It is the Celtics and the Nuggets on TNT here. This one about a pick 'em here, a total 221.5.
You're talking about the marquee matchups, right?
Yep.
So Boston actually opened up as 1 point favorites, and the line flipped. You have it as a pick 'em. Last I saw, Denver was actually laying a point, basically the same thing. But the reason for that flip would have been the news of Jaylen Brown being questionable. He popped up on the injury report. I don't have too much information on that as of right now. Obviously, the game of the night, possible NBA Finals preview. But Denver ended Boston's. If you remember, they ended their undefeated home streak back earlier this season in Boston, 102-100 as 7 point underdogs. So this does set up as a huge revenge spot for the Celtics. This will also be a possible bounce back spot for the Celtics after blowing a 22-point fourth quarter lead to the Cavs in their last game. They probably blew that lead. They probably were looking forward to this game a little bit, quite honestly. Boston is 11-1 straight up and 7-5 against the spread after a loss this season. I think Boston comes out and tries to send a message in this game. I really hope Jaylen Brown gets to play in this one, but either way, I think Boston is just going to come out gangbusters. I'm not sure if he will end up playing after popping up so just out of nowhere almost. The spot screams Celtics, though. They're also 10-1 in the first half against the spread after a loss, so I think that's another way you could play this game. And quite frankly, I think a safer way to play the game in case the altitude gets to the Celtics in the second half. But I think you could bet this game either way, first half or full game. This is Boston's most important game of the season up to this point. They should be locked in, and if they're hitting their threes, I feel like no one can beat them. So I'm late. Well, not laying points. I'm going with the Celtics here.
All right, Joseph, let's get his screen plays over at Tony'sPicks.com. That's where we find his best bets. Top unit producer over at the site. Celtics and Nuggets. Likes the Celtics here at a pick'em. TNT action. Just the news here on Jaylen Brown. It's a different injury. Of course, in that Cleveland game, he was questionable with that knee contusion. This one is the pelvis strain. So that's the questionable mark there for Jaylen Brown. So we'll keep an eye on that one. The Celtics.
Right. It was weird how it just popped up. I didn't think it was the same injury.
Yep, it was a different one there. Celtics at a pick'em over on TNT. All right, Joseph, we got our rundown here of the 7-game card. We haven't got the rundown completed. There is another game. It snuck in on me here. All right, Bulls and the Warriors going head to head here. We just saw the Warriors in action here not too long ago. The Warriors are going to be laying 7 here. The total of 223.5.
All right, so the Bulls will be on a back-to-back coming from altitude in Utah. That's another thing I'm surprised to when a lot of people don't realize when they talk about altitude and stuff. They always think Denver, but Utah is actually the highest altitude. So just be careful when you're picking games in the future, teams coming from or going to Utah. It's a really tricky thing to do. But yeah, so they're going to be on a back-to-back coming from altitude in Utah. third game in 4 nights, all of them on the road, so all of them with travel. The Warriors need every game that they can get the rest of the season. They're trying to climb up the standings. They've done a good spot, having been in 11th place right before the All-Star break, so they've really caught on. They'll also be on a back-to-back, but it won't be their third game in 4 nights, and they won't have to travel, having been at home the last game before this one. This will be their second straight home game. That's typically a spot I like to back a team. We'll have to see if they're going to rest Chris Paul on the back-to-back, but either way, going to lean towards the Warriors. And if this number was a little lower, maybe 5.5, this would be a very strong play for me. But either way, I'm leaning the Warriors.
All right, Joseph Schultz, get his premium plays over at TonySwitch.com. Look for those best bets, Bulls and Warriors. He says take the Warriors here at minus the 7 points. All right, we got through the 7-game card here from the NBA. All right, Joseph, we got a lot of NBA action here for you on Thursday for everybody out there. Also action on the ice, college basketball conference tournaments, again, continuing here. Of course, Joseph, again, we said top unit producer at TonySwitch.com, 2,917 units of profit. Last year, nearly 3,000 units of profit. So over the past 14 months, nearly 6,000 units of profit. More. I don't think there's a capper anywhere in these legit record-keeping sites that are producing those numbers. What we have going over at TonySwitch.com for Thursday's action?
Well, right now I'm sticking to the NBA. I'm focused and locked in on that for right now. We're going to be transitioning to the tournament, obviously, in the next couple of weeks. But I have my best bet, as always, coming out of the NBA for tonight's games for a $15 special, profit guaranteed. We're also going to have a 3-pack out of the NBA for $25. And as always, there's the 3-day package, the weekly, the monthly, and you can get the year long for just $11.99.
That's right, guys. Got to roll with Joseph over at TonySpace.com. Top unit producer over at TonySpace.com. Fully documented. All our picks are documented. All our premium plays are documented. Matter of fact, if you go down to leaderboard 2.0, you'll be able to see all the plays here from Joseph's. Be sure to click here 2024. You'll see that he's on the top of the leaderboard. Last year, 2023, top of the leaderboard. Last 14 months, nearly 6,000 units of profit. He's been on a tear, guys. So go ahead and get signed up to his long-term passes. Just click the link here. If you go to the homepage, click the link, you'll get to his handicapper page, and there you'll find all of his picks offering. You can see the great results that he's put up here. You can actually see last year's next to this year's, and just scroll down and take a look at all the winning here from Joseph. And of course, right now you can get those long-term passes, as he mentioned, a 3-day, 7-day, 1 month, or the 1-year all sports pass. And remember, we'll let you save you some money when you use that promo code TonyT at checkout. You can access Joseph's page by clicking the link you see there in the description. Click the All Cappers tab. Go ahead and get signed up. All right, Joseph, as always, great having you here on the show. Keep up that great winning, and we'll catch up with you again on tomorrow's show.
All right, Tony. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. It's Joseph Schultz here on our NBA Rundown. I'm Tony T. We'll catch up with you guys again tomorrow.